Welcome to the Massachusetts UFO Filming and Research Team. I am your host, Amy Nickelbod. I'm an amateur UFO investigator who investigates weird lights in the sky that have been seen around this area lately. There have been a rash of UFO sightings since last year in the Boston area where I live, so I decided to go out every once in a while, look at the night sky, and see if I see anything out of the ordinary. And a couple of times I actually have seen weird things out of the ordinary in the night sky, like this August. I went out to do an investigation and I saw this. This is a film that I uploaded to YouTube. This is the portion of it where it's been enhanced to show off the flickering light. You can only see it when it's enhanced, unfortunately. I saw this in the sky, and it was weird. It was moving right and left, like this, but not going back and forth in the sky. It seemed like a normal plane until you noticed the weird movement, which I later confirmed by doing some work in a painting program to see how it moved compared to the non-flashing light, the street light you see a lot in this film. It might not be viewable in this video because I'm using a digital camera to record my computer screen, and a lot of times little details just don't show up. But I did notice something out of the ordinary that night in the sky. I don't know what it is. Planes don't move like that. It's not a star. It didn't make a noise, so it's not a helicopter. So that's my best evidence of a UFO right where I live. I have some photographs too. I think that's the only video evidence I've been able to capture. I have some photographs. Here's the MUFART logo. That's my investigation team. Right here is a weird light I saw in March 2012. It was hovering in the sky, yellowish gold light. Didn't move at all, but all of a sudden jumped into the position of a known star suddenly to fool me to thinking it was a star. Weirdest thing, because I never saw it again, ever. And it's funny, though, because a few days before, I saw a weird light hovering in the sky across the street from me that looked just like that. It was much closer, and it was burning, looked like it was burning the trees across the street from me. And it hovered in the sky, and then just disappeared and made no noise. I don't know what that was. And the other night in West Roxbury, I saw a weird white globe of light hovering over some buildings that disappeared 5 seconds later. Didn't capture that because my camera was out of batteries, unfortunately, but this is what I do. I capture evidence of UFOs. And UFOs, to me, are unidentified flying objects. They're not alien spaceships. They're just something you can't identify. I'm trying to figure out what they are. It's more of like a hunt for evidence of weird stuff, not so much believing in the whole UFO conspiracy crap, which I don't believe in, and I'm a skeptic, by the way. I have a very scientifically founded, rigid way of determining what I see is odd. It's going to be very unusual before I call it unidentified or anomalous. I use the word anomalous more than unidentified because it means odd, not necessarily unexplainable. I just like using that term better. I've been doing this for, I don't know, 5-6 years after I saw things in the sky that looked like stars on a cloudy night that couldn't be. That's a long story, but I've been looking at the night sky to see if I can get more of those on tape, but I've never been able to photograph them. They're too faint, unfortunately. But this is my hobby, and this is my scientific evidence team for UFOs, MUFART. Enjoy. Tonight I'm doing another investigation for MUFART into weird lights in the sky, and I have to be prepared. I know what time I'm going out, around 6 p.m. I have this grid piece of paper here. I'm going to be using this to draw where the stars are in the night sky to make it much easier for me, and to identify what stars they are and in what direction. I can only see certain directions, so I'm only going to draw anything east-northeast to west-southwest, which is the direction my street goes in from one to the other. So I can't draw anything that's behind me because I will never be able to see it from my porch, which is what I do my investigations from mostly. I tend to do my investigations in early spring when it's still cold, or late fall when it's really cold. I can't do it during the summer. There's too much bugs out. And usually I don't do it from my room because I don't like sitting in my room when it's dark. I don't see anything then. It's too bright for doing anything, really, for me. And when it's pitch black, I can't see anything, so how am I supposed to do anything without seeing stuff? So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I haven't done this in a few months, and the next one will probably be like next February, on a night when it's not snowy or icy, if possible. This camera I'm using to film this stuff is a crappy digital camera, really. I'm going to get a much better camcorder, hopefully, for the holidays. Not necessarily. We'll see. And then you will get to see night vision footage of my stuff, hopefully, with that. So it's bright and you can see in the dark, and I can see in the dark, and see what's a star and what isn't, and hopefully it'll be better than what this camera films. I'm looking for one used because I'm cheap like that, but that's basically what I'm going to be doing. It's a very scientific method to determine what I see is something out of the ordinary or not. I use a program called Stellarium, which you can take the date, the time you saw the object in a direction and angle, and it will show you what's in the sky at the time, complete with what it actually looks like and how it behaves, how it flickers and whatnot. That's very useful to see if it's a star or a planet. There are other things that you can think are unusual but aren't paranormal. Things like satellites. There's a website to determine what you're seeing as a satellite or not. Usually I don't see satellites. They usually move through the sky. They don't hover still. What I'm more interested in is things that behave like stars and hover still. I've seen them occasionally. And things that hover still for a little while and jump into a different position and hover still in that different position for the rest of the night, and then you don't see them the next night. Other things like helicopters. If you can see it, you can probably hear it. So if I can't hear it, it's probably not a helicopter. If I hear a helicopter around there, I will immediately debunk it as a helicopter, because I'm not sure where the helicopter sound is coming from. Just the way it's set up. But I've never heard a helicopter during any of my investigations. So I don't know what I'm seeing is a helicopter or not. Helicopters can hover, but if you see a weird light in the sky that hovers, it probably isn't a helicopter unless you can hear it. Planes, everybody knows what a plane looks like at night. You see red flashing lights and white flashing lights on it. If I don't see those two lights, or any flashing lights on it, it's not a plane. And if it's hovering, it's not a plane either. I occasionally see these very weird planes that have a bright white flashing light but nothing else. Don't know what they are. It's a mystery to me. I also occasionally see things through the camera viewfinder while I'm recording a film that are artifacts of the camera that can't be explained either. And that's a mystery, but not necessarily a paranormal one. So yeah, I have a very, very rigid, structured method of determining what I see is unusual. I don't just jump to the conclusion that it looks weird, it's a UFO. I don't do that. I'm very skeptical on things, so I try to debunk a lot of mundane possibilities. And you need to do that, because you're not as credible if you don't, basically. My investigation is almost started. I want to show you the sheet that I've made. 2 sheets, actually. I finally found my little investigative sheet here, which is where I keep my checklists. I kept this separate from my notebook and was looking through the notebook, and later on I realized I tore it from the notebook so I wouldn't lose it. There are several things that I look at to see if they're anomalous, and the first 2 are very obvious things that people would recognize as a UFO right away. Something that moves erratically is definitely a UFO. Something that changes color and shape is also a UFO. But a lot of things I see don't do that, because I'm after more of the subtle type of UFOs that seem like an ordinary star or planet or plane or whatever. If it doesn't make a sound, then it's possibly a UFO. If it appears or disappears, it's possibly a UFO. If it stands totally still, it's possibly a UFO. If it looks like a star, but it's an overcast night or a very cloudy night, it's probably a UFO. If it's a star-like object, but it moves, it's possibly a UFO. Does the software debunk the idea that it's a star? Yes, then it's a UFO. Does it look artificial when you analyze a photo and enhance it? I'll explain that stuff later on in the results. Then yeah, it's a UFO. I also have a key to my direction here. Here's my checklist here. I also have a key of directions that shows what direction is what for my house, so I know what direction it is. And some other things, important things like how to improve the brightness of a video. These are ways to, these things here in this black section up here, these are ways to identify a star, a planet, a plane, a helicopter, an iridium flare, and a satellite. I briefly mentioned that earlier in a previous video. That's about it. Now my other sheet, which I did today, is a crude star map based off of 2 times in 2 times of year. It's only for 7 p.m. currently and 12 a.m. currently. It shows where all the stars are. Some of them are for one time, some of them are for others. The ones that have a cross in them, like these you see here, are 12 a.m. stars. The ones that don't, the ones that are just dots, are 7 p.m. stars. Ones that have a horizontal cross, like this one here. Those are stars that flicker very weirdly, and they are ones that you can mistake for a UFO if you're not careful. There's plenty of stars that do this. Capella is one, Vega is another. So this is a useful way to determine what stars are in the sky. So if I see a star in a certain place that shouldn't be there, it ain't a star. It'll help me determine if something's odd right away. So that's one of my things. These are my sheets. I'm going to tape these 2 sheets together, but I really can't now. But I'll do that some other time. My checklist, I don't usually use a checklist anymore, but I try to memorize that kind of stuff, honestly. But that's the sheets. I got them ready, which is good. Okay, I'm up here, 12:27. I keep a regular eye on the sky. I have my investigative sheet. Here. This is a star chart for doing things from my bedroom. I just made it up very quickly. One side from the side window, one side from the front window. Looking at the star chart to verify something's a star. That is this star here. I think if there's no star next to it, to the left of it, it's not a star. If so. I think I just identified it as Jupiter. No, Procyon. I saw Jupiter too. Nothing out of the ordinary yet. I'll only film if I detect something out of the ordinary. There's a very bright star-like object moving across the sky. You probably won't see it on this film. It's right around there somewhere. I think it's a plane, though. Yeah, my bad. False positive. So, weird light coming up the side window around 12:45. Double check to see if the moon is in that direction. See it? See it? Alright, my investigation is done. I really didn't notice anything too out of the ordinary, but I did notice two things that stick out. One was a plane-like light that seemed like a star and then turned into a plane. Weirdest thing. Don't know what this could be, a secret aircraft? Another one is a light coming through the trees. It could be the moon. I'm going to check to see if the moon is in stellarium in that direction around 1245, which is south-southeast. If it's not, that's something else that's unknown. I don't know which is more weird at this point. Pretty good investigation, but I'm not so sure either one even showed up on the film yet. I won't know that until I analyze the film. I'm going to do more videos tomorrow and to analyzation of the film, what programs I use, how do I analyze things, and how I make the entire video series. Enjoy. For analyzing the film, the programs I use a lot are Virtual Dub and Windows Movie Maker, the new version. Let's first go into Windows Movie Maker because it's the most basic thing. My camera exports MOV files, and I would need a conversion program to do anything if it didn't export MOV files. When I get a clip of a UFO, the first thing I do is put it under a brightness contrast filter, which is very basic in Windows Movie Maker. Here's the new version of Windows Movie Maker. This is simply called Movie Maker, not Windows Movie Maker, so just to show you which version it is. Go to Visual Effects, and then go to Brightness, and make sure it's at max brightness. Then watch it, like this. See if you notice anything out of the ordinary. I'm not going to watch the whole thing, but that's what you have to do. Now, you put an edge detection, and this will allow you to see all the shapes, and it will put each shape with a different color so you can easily see where the lights are coming from. This is very important because I was able to make out where the last UFO was in the last major film I had in August. I needed to use this. If you don't get anything from this, you really need to do stuff in Virtual Dub. But the problem is that this is in a MOV file format, and Virtual Dub does not support that format. And my converter won't convert MOV files to AVI files, so you need to do an intermediary thing. You have to save this as a WMV file next. So this is the next thing I will do. You go to Home, up here, and you go to Save Movie, up there. Go to Recommended from Project, and under the export thing, you put in WMV and you save the file. Now, the next thing you want to do is use the program RAD Video Tools, which is the other program I didn't mention. It's a file converter. Click, but do not double click on the file you want to convert, which is going to be a WMV file like this. But don't double click it. Click on Convert a File, and then click Convert, and it will convert it. Now you should have an AVI file. Now you load the AVI file into Virtual Dub. I'm going to load this file in, and the first thing I need to do is improve the brightness and contrast with this one's filter. And this is a much better filter than the one in Windows Movie Maker. But the percentages of brightness and contrast have to be put in. You have to know which percentages to use. I make the brightness about halfway up to 200%, and I make the contrast a small amount, like 1/4 of the way. The 200%. Sorry, I got some kind of problem with my nose here. Click OK, and then you should see things a lot more clear. And that's how I enhance my film, to see where all the lights are, to see if anything showed up on the film. You can't really notice all the little lights without doing this process. It's really important. Now, to make all these videos that you are seeing, I just put them together in Windows Movie Maker, which allows you to actually import videos and make a big movie out of them and save them as a WMV file, which you can upload to YouTube. And that's how I do that. So, just want to show off what programs I use. The investigation's done and the results are in. Out of 3 things that I saw last night, only 1 thing was able to be caught on camera due to the fact the camera's not sensitive enough, and the fact I didn't bother filming the first thing. I'm going to go over the first thing very quickly right now. First thing by far was the oddest thing I've seen. The weirdest UFO-like object. I saw it up there late last night, It looked like a star, so at first I thought, what star was it? But then I saw it move. And it freaked me out, because stars aren't supposed to move like that. And then it stopped moving. Now, my eyes could have been playing tricks on me. I'm not so sure about that. There is a kind of weird optical illusion associated with stars where they pretend to move, or they appear to move. The second thing was what basically I thought was a plane, but at first it looked like a moving star. So I'm kind of discounting that as a plane, maybe a spy plane. I don't know, but the third thing was by far the most interesting thing I saw last night. Okay, here's a video. I'm not going to show you the entire video because you only see this little thing in one frame of the video. So I'm going to go through frame by frame. Alright. See it? That is a mysterious light that was barely caught by the camera, emanating from the trees outside the side room of my house, around this direction or so. The thing is this thing was extremely bright, at least moon brightness, and there are no stars in that part of the sky at that time, according to Stellarium, that are bright enough to feed us. I don't even think this was a star. It was so bright, and it's not a light up there. It's up in the trees. There's no lights up in the trees, so what could it be? It wasn't a plane or helicopter. It stood totally still. Didn't make a noise. I caught it on film, and to me it's definitely a UFO, an unidentified flying object. I just don't know what it is. I caught it on camera. On one frame of the camera, it popped up in the video. I had to enhance it heavily to even see it. I used Virtual Dub, this program, to do some kind of brightness contrast enhancement to it, and it just barely showed up in one frame. There's another light you see in that video that is actually a street light. That street light is not what this UFO is, so don't think that's the UFO. That weird street light, the light that keeps moving around, the orangey one, is just a street light. But this is interesting, because I'm not sure what this is, honestly. It's a very weird light, and it's very similar to the light I saw a few nights ago in West Roxbury, which I mentioned in the first video, the one that was hovering in the air 100 feet off the ground, about moon brightness, and then suddenly disappeared. I don't know. I don't know if they're related, but at least I got some evidence tonight. And unfortunately last night I couldn't do the investigation outside because I got caught by my parents doing it, which is disgusting, aggravating the hell out of me. I want to get this kind of crap done, so I had to resort to doing it in my bedroom 15 minutes later. And I had to make a new star chart for it, which I showed off in the video, but you didn't really see it because the camera didn't pick it up. It was so dark. It has two sides to it, one side from the front window, one side from the side window. And all the stars that are in that area are around 12 a.m. 12:15 a.m. it said for that. So, my investigation's done, and I think I got some good results. I wish I had more than this because there's two other things I saw that I couldn't get on camera. I tried my best to get that plane on camera because it was very odd, but it could be just a plane. I don't know. But this was the most mysterious thing of all of them because I can't explain it away as anything. So I think it's like the biggest find. Not much to report besides that. I didn't hear anything out of the ordinary. I didn't see any flashes in the sky. And there's weird flashes. I've been seeing a lot of them out the corner of my eyes. I don't know what they are. I'm not even sure I'm even seeing them, honestly. So I've never been able to get them on camera because it's impossible to know where they're going to be. So I've never been able to film them. And if I was able to film them, how would I prove that they're real. It's just this camera won't be able to pick them up. They're not bright enough. I'd have to be very lucky to film the brightest one has ever appeared. But I like the investigation. I got good results in, and I'm waiting for the next one, which will be either this Sunday or next Sunday, depending on when I'm going to be with my brother. It'll be the other Sunday, not the one I'm meeting my brother at. So, enjoy, paranormal and UFO buffs. This is the end of this MUFART investigation.